At this time, before we get into the regular agenda, Mr. Mike Schneider is going to make a statement. Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank those of you whose thoughts and prayers have been with my family. I want each of you to know that being a selectman has been one of the most important things in my life. The privilege of serving Wareham means a great deal to me, but there have been personal costs, high personal costs. As has been widely reported, my family has been subject to tremendous pressures due to my involvement with the town over the past 2 years. Because of that, my children are attending a different school system out of concern for their well-being. It's one thing to deal with the actions of those who hate, but it's a different thing for our families to have to deal with it. I do want to apologize to the community for the media frenzy that has occurred. But quite frankly, I'm surprised at the level of attention that the media has placed on this matter. I was never missing, nor was I a fugitive. I missed 2 regularly scheduled meetings and an impromptu meeting that was requested by 2 members of the board who didn't show up for the meeting themselves. But the bottom line is this. My family didn't want anyone to know where they were out of concern that people would continue to seek them out once they were out of town, or that MapQuest directions would be printed to their house like they have been in the past. It was extraordinary for me to hear that an insinuation was made that is uncommon for members of this board to go without speaking to each other in between meetings, especially when some of the selectmen know full well that I stopped taking phone calls from them in between board meetings because of a consistent violation of the open meeting laws. And you certainly don't tell people whose friends are complicit in the very reasons that you're concerned about your family's well-being, where your family's going. What I won't apologize for is putting my family's well-being ahead of the concerns of anyone else, especially the concerns of those that have become so very adept at whipping people up into a frenzy by utilizing the local media. At the end of the day, when you don't want anyone to know where your family is because of concerns that retribution will follow them where they go, you do what you have to do to make certain that no one knows where they're going or where they are. I also want you to know that it was never my intention to resign from being a selectman, which is why the town has not received a resignation. I needed some time to find a way to balance the well-being of my family with my obligations to the town. The past few weeks were supposed to be that time for me. But as we all know, that has not come to pass. And so that is why I'm explaining all this to you now. When I was elected, I did not abdicate my right or responsibility to protect the health, safety, and well-being of my family. And certainly my being a selectman does not abdicate a mother's right to protect her children. The well-being of my family comes first, as it should, and that's never going to change. That said, I've invested 2 years of my life and countless hours trying to make this town a better place to live. For far too long, this community has had a handful of politically, morally, and ethically bankrupt people that have intimidated and harassed the good people of Wareham. I have spoken out and spoken up for the residents of this town like others have in the past. And like others before me, it was my family that suffered as a result. There is something seriously wrong when children are victimized by the administration of an institution that is entrusted to grow their minds and to protect them during the school day. Why? Because their father, along with another member of this board, spoke out about serious issues that affected the safety of this town's children. Certain people think that they may have succeeded in running me out of town, but I'm not done by any means. I'm still a resident, and I still own property in Wareham. I made a commitment to this town, and I intend to do everything in my power to continue to fulfill that commitment. There is no question that my family and I face challenges ahead, but so do many other Wareham families who are suffering through the worst economic times since the Great Depression. And just like those other families, my family will fight through this, together.
Excuse me. Mr. Whitehouse, no flashes, please. Well, I'll mention it now. Thank you.
And is there a media person from Wareham Week here? I'd like to tell you how devastating your newspaper has been to my family, particularly the most recent comments. How dare you allow comments on your media site that said that my 17-year-old son was left home alone and questioned my wife's ability to be a parent. You should be ashamed of yourself. Enough is enough. Stop the hatred.